Kind of in line, as you said, with, robots and what the potential is, but there's a lot of employment movement in the market, specifically in technology in 2024. And you sent me this magazine it's an article rather from Visual Capitalist, and it's titled, let me get it up on screen here. All right, there we go. It is titled "The Biggest Layoffs in Tech So Far in 2024." And I think the punchline and something that makes this real easily and visual is like, look at these top 10, you know? And when you read about it, I know you read this article in depth. Do you want to give us a little narration on it?
Yeah, and it was really just this image. I like the Visual Capitalist. It just hits you with images and it makes you sort of think about it. And I mean, the Dell one is crazy, 20% of the company. I mean, that's just a crazy percentage, right? The struggles that Tesla has been having have been well documented in the news. And so in some ways, it's not surprising to see Tesla on the list, although the impact Tesla has had on the electric car manufacturing has been unbelievably incredible, right? And so it's just, I think that's a reflection of more competition in that space. But the ones that really interest me are the real kind of tech ones, like Dell, which is really more of a manufacturer. And a lot of these start to look like manufacturers, Cisco, but SAP, I mean, it's not surprising to see SAP. It's such a specific market product that is so kind of uniquely used by lots of people. But I don't know if you've ever managed an SAP installation. In my 25 years in tech, maybe once I've bumped into it. And so that's something that you would expect to see a little bit. I think the workforce is feeling this. These are the highs, but, hiring has really slowed at these companies. And I do think that a lot of companies have expense managed their ways to profitability. And one way to do that is to reduce your headcount.
Yeah, you can't shrink to greatness, that's for sure. But, look at this article here, 12,500 people of the, 26,000 people at Dell were in sales and marketing.
It's crazy.
That's counterintuitive, right? Because what do you need to come out of growth is you need, out of a slump is you need sales.
It's funny, I said there wasn't an article. I didn't scroll right when I saw this the first time. Thank you for pulling this up.
Yeah, sure. No, there's a little bit of meat underneath this.
Yeah.
So 12.5 out of sales and marketing, that would surprise me. I'm not shocked by that there's no sales and marketing. Like I didn't expect it to be zero, but almost half. So you got to grow, right? How do you grow? By shrinking your sales and marketing organization. Now, maybe there's an efficiency, maybe they're stacking regions, maybe they're doubling up account. Maybe guys like you and me, if we work, they're going to work twice as hard.
And they've done a lot of acquisitions and mergers, and that sometimes bloats headcount, but it's still a very surprisingly high number.
Yeah. It's a high number. Here, if implemented, this could be the company's largest layoff ever. If implemented, the cuts are being driven by an AI-first restructure.
That I think is nonsense. I think that's great PR, but I think that's nonsense.
Okay, so I don't even know what that means. What do you think that means? AI first at Dell? Are they gonna, are they competing with NVIDIA? Like what do you think they're doing?
It's funny because we talked about robots earlier, and I was thinking, are they going to use AI to replace the 12,500 people in sales and marketing? And I don't think that's what they mean. But what you said, because the theme here, if you think about it, with Intel on the list, also, they're up against a chip maker who they've never really competed against at the scale they are now, right? Between Dell and Intel facing NVIDIA. And so maybe you're right that it's really about compute power. And I think, the combination of compute power and electricity are going to be kind of the themes for the next 5 years. This idea that we'll run out of electricity, I'm hoping the AI is going to solve that. we've
So
been,
you think the AI is going to figure out how to make power more efficiently? I don't
maybe
know.
like in Back to
That's
the
like saying if I
Future.
drink a lot of grapefruit juice, it's going to burn all my fat.
Yeah, but like in Back to the Future,
Yeah.
at the end, Doc uses garbage to,
Oh,
power
yeah. Yeah. I
the
see what you're
DeLorean.
saying.
So maybe there's just things we haven't considered. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm sure if we're talking about them, somebody a lot smarter than us is working on them. But here's
Yeah.
here's another interesting one, right? Tesla facing downward demand in 2024. Their vehicle deliveries fell for the first time in nearly 4 years. Stiff competition in China has led to price cuts that put pressure on profit margins.
Yeah, the Chinese
China.
electric car market is unbelievable and super cool.
Well, I spent some time because of my daughter living there, but I spent a lot of time in Mexico in the last few years. Not a lot, but more than I ever have in my life.
Extent.
Chinese cars all over the place,
Totally.
right? And I'm like, what's that model? What's that? I've never seen them in the States. We don't allow
No.
Chinese cars here. And then I get
No.
up close because they're parked or they're stopped at a light or whatever's going on. I'm like, this is a legit car. This car, it's not like, I
doing
don't
really
know if
cool
you remember
stuff.
this. This was great. The Chinese gave me my first exposure to recycled metal. When I was a kid, I had a sheriff's badge or a police badge. It was a police badge. It was made in China. And the front was like shiny aluminum. And when you flipped it around, the paint from what it used to be was still on the back. That's what I thought Chinese
cool.
cars were like. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. It's
dumb.
super cool. The other thing is, Amazon bought all their electric fleet from Rivian.
Yeah.
And you just think about that competition for that kind of business, right? That Rivian, it's a brand new player, was able to win that business from Amazon. And I'm sure all of those billionaire CEOs have egos and are competitive with each other, but we haven't seen Tesla in fleets yet like that, right? And so
no, we haven't.
That's going to start to grow, and that market's also going to start to grow.
That's a pretty interesting observation about that. But $7 billion in operating losses for Intel. It's crazy. Nvidia kicking complete keister here is just it's just amazing. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. When this is limited to top 10, right? What's going on in sort of tech creation, manufacturing, and services. But it's tough out there. I've had a lot of people reach out with resumes as of late. Engineers, infrastructure people, developers. I mean, people really looking for jobs, and it's shifting. I see, lots of companies that used to hire talent are now, they're creating a lot of leverage. Interesting enough, I just had a call with a customer who's trying to get a very big name logo and said they build everything. There's no way we're going to get in this particular company. They build everything. They're a build shop. They've been through 4 CIOs. They're a build shop. It's the end of the story. So, but I think that while that's the case, I mean, even if you look at Chase, they announced they've got 3,500 technology professionals working on AI at JP Morgan Chase.
I mean, I think there are going to be companies like the big banks and software companies that are still investing heavily in tech.
Yeah.
But I think, there are a few things going on in the labor market right now. One is, I think, this incredible transition we're about to go through with the AI opportunities is forcing people to pause how they think of their expense to ensure that they're spending their technology budgets on technology that they think has a lifespan and won't get replaced by AI, right?
Yeah,
and so
that makes sense.
The second thing is I do think there's a ton of technology fatigue in the C-suites from the last 10 years of massive investments in technology. And you and I have talked about what those stats look like. And, 50% of the time the projects go in and maybe 50% of the time they don't, right? And I think right now we're seeing a little bit of that impacting hiring and teams. And like you said, like Chase is still going to be a builder. But if you're in the mid-market right now, you should not be building anything, right?
Yep.
I mean, between low code and commercially available software and the cloud, you need to figure out how to take advantage of all that stuff. And, it's possible you'll need to do data integration and your own analytics and research. But beyond that, you should be able to pay for it.
Pretty crazy. I'm going to show you something that you're going to get blown away because you just, we're stats guys, and I consulted the great Swami, ChatGPT, and even with the typo, what percentage of tech projects worldwide do not deliver? We got to validate this. I could actually ask to cite the source, please.
I did a little
Cite
research on this too.
All right. So, blah, 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 Standish Group, blah, 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 blah. Okay. 31% of tech projects succeed. 52% are challenged and 17% fail. Okay. So what I'm going to say is 52 plus 17, 69% of tech projects do either fail or do not meet expectations, which means the ROI is plummeting, which is what's driving C-suite fatigue. So,
and I think the one thing that's hard on this one too is fail to meet their objectives. That's a very gray area, but nonetheless, that's a real problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. Well, fail to meet their objectives means there's, at the end of the day, there's no value, right? The value is completely gone.
Yeah. The thing that you and I have seen is if we're really working towards efficiency with our tech projects, if efficiency is really our goal, then when we deliver the project, then the C-suite has to make very hard decisions about what jobs they are going to let go as a result of that improved efficiency.
Yeah.
Sometimes the reality is the market grows.
Yeah.
And so they need to keep the team size, but the revenue doesn't offset the expense of the project. And then I think there's a lot of bad ROI math going on, over promising and under delivering. But it's, I do think
funny.
there's a lot of,
my business is bringing new technology and solutions to companies. I know you do the same. But I'm selling it now, right? For the last 8 years. And every time I sit with a provider and they want to go through the ROI, they're like, we save 60% here, we save 55% there. I'm like, no way. No way. I'm like, first of all, you're you think you're showing up like a knight in shining armor. You're creating so much distress on an enterprise. They're used to 5, 7, 10, 20% on the high side saving. They're big enough where those numbers are
huge numbers. Yeah.
You come puffing your chest, go walking through the door, I'm going to save you 40%. Somebody at the very top of the house has already got the head count and chopped it out. People then can't run their shop and do their jobs, and they will sign you up for whatever some dum-dum says in the first meeting. And so I'm aware of that. Yeah. And I say, hey, let's do a conservative calculation together. I got $1. I can save you 20 cents. I can do it X number of times a day. Blah, blah, blah. This is what it offsets. Can we all, that's so easy. That's a slam dunk. Stop right there.
Sure.
Promise the slam dunk. You got upside on the other side?
Great. Yeah, we saw this for a few years in the machine learning space, the OCR machine learning convergence that occurred with the ability to read W-2s and pay stubs. And people were promising a not an aspirational number, but a number that was not a first day number. And so I would go to meetings and my partner would be like, this guy said they were going to read 85 to 90% of the W-2s. We're at 40%.
Yeah.
And I would say to the vendor, you're at 40%. He's like, there's more good tech coming. I'm like, yeah, but in that first meeting, you promised 80.
Yeah, you promised 80. Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in.